So how would somebody get their body into the state of ketosis where you're burning fat instead of sugar?
Well, I don't know it necessarily has to be ketosis. Certainly, and it is my understanding is it's actually been shown, there are a number of good studies that show it's quite effective for treating certain types of malignancies, specifically brain cancers. But it's probably generally useful for most malignancies. But the typical strategy one would do, I think, is to really focus on the quality of the food and the timing of the food. Okay. So I like to call it the 3-8-3. So that is basically don't eat for at least 3 hours before you go to bed. Okay. Sleep for 8 hours, because sleep is another crucial component for healing. And if you're only sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, your body's immune system is not going to be optimized to fight these malignancies. So, and then wait for at least 3 hours to eat before you eat. Now, you can modify that too, and I think so basically moving your breakfast forward. But the other approach is you can eat your breakfast, especially if you're going to have an active work day, like a farmer or some vigorous occupation that you're involved in, and then have a pretty big breakfast and even a bigger lunch, but then skip your dinner. So then it actually even extends instead of 3 hours, maybe 4, 5, or 6 hours before you go to bed. And I think that may be more beneficial for a really good reason, in that it tends to improve your mitochondrial function. Might wonder what mitochondria are. They are derivatives of bacteria, ancient bacteria that are embedded in just about every one of our cells, and each one of our cells has about 100 to 100,000 of these things. And you might say, what are they? Well, these are the powerhouses where our body is actually able to burn fuel. When you eat food, whatever type of food it doesn't magically turn to energy. It has to be converted in some process. And the primary process is using the mitochondria. And the mitochondria has these electron transport chains in there where they actually incorporate the oxygen from the air you breathe and the broken down fuel substrates, such as fat and glucose, and they combine those together in these electron transport chains, and they have basically produce electrons, get transferred to substrates like ATP, adenosine triphosphate, that circulate around and transfer this energy to your body. Here's the problem, though, because if you're not able to burn fat effectively and you've got this excess of sugar, or if you eat before you go to bed, one of the worst things you can do, what happens is you have this inefficiency in your mitochondria. So when you produce energy, just like, oh darn, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That was my phone.
No, that's okay. You can start again right there once it stops going.
I should have turned it off.
It's okay.
I'll go.
So when you produce energy in your body,
Yeah. Well, it's fine.
You can start from the top. We're respectful for you.
Okay, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we're still
No big deal.
Okay. So, I'm sorry, what did we leave off?
You did say, so when you produce energy in your body.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so when you produce energy in your body, it doesn't occur there magically. There's this process that occurs, and you take these substrates, the fuels that are broken down to either the carbohydrates or the fats, and it combines it with the oxygen. And there's usually like when you're burning any fuel for energy, there's a byproduct, right? There's waste products. Some fuel is minimal, like there's water would be the waste product when you're converting hydrogen for fuel. But
I'm sorry, I was stuck there.
Sure.
When you're converting hydrogen for fuel.
Okay. When you're converting hydrogen to fuel, that's a pretty innocuous byproduct. Right. But in our own mitochondria, they produce. You have the potential to produce excessive electrons. And when you do that, your body has to compensate for that with antioxidants. And if you're using the energy, then it's no problem because you generate it, you use it, and it flows, and there's very little excess waste products. But when you don't, and you don't use the energy, if you're not being able to burn fat, and you have a lot of sugar that you're building up, then you have this excess energy. And then these electrons build up. It causes massive amounts of free radicals, which can damage your tissues, your cell membranes, your DNA, can actually prematurely kill your mitochondria, and certainly prematurely age you. There are many experts who believe in the mitochondrial theory of aging. So we want to preserve the function and the health of our mitochondria. One of the best ways you can do this is by simple strategies like delaying the time that, or not eating before you go to bed. Simple concept, right? But we didn't know that, if you eat right before you bed, it's one of the worst things you can do because you have all this excess energy that's generating. You don't need energy when you're sleeping. That's when you recover and repair. Your body has more than enough fuel to compensate for that.
Hi, this is Ty Bollinger. Thanks for watching. If you want to know the truth about cancer, click the link in the description below to watch our award-winning docu-series, The Truth About Cancer, A Global Quest.